Welcome to part 7 of the Sunshine Kisses and Fairy Wishes Crochet Along. This section was contributed by another gorgeous tester, Gail, and she called this section Dewdrops. So let's get started. Now this section begins on the right side, so make sure your little stitch mark is where you can see it. And we are only simply going to be making single crochet. Now we need to get into the first stitch. Now when we finish the ATM section, we finish down from the front side, so you just need to tuck under those top loops. That was the turning chain from the previous row, so just get in under the top loops and make yourself a standing single crochet, just like that, and then all the way down, simple single crochet. I haven't talked a lot about tension on the single crochet rows, but it's something that's kind of standard throughout crochet. You always sort of need to be paying attention to your tension because it's so easy to tighten up with single crochet rows. So keep an eye on it and hopefully you're okay. Alright, all the way down till you get to the other end, 216 of them. There's my last stitch right there in here. That's my little locking chain that I do at the end before I fasten off. So just get yourself into there, 216. When you finish up, you need a chain 2 at the end and to turn, all right? And then I'll come back for row 2. Okay, for row 2, I'm here. I have my chain 2 from the previous row, from the single crochet row here. And we are now on the reverse side of the work. So we'll be making our triad stitches from the reverse. Okay, so let's get started on that. Now, we first have to realize that the chain 2 is our first double crochet, so that's that done. Now we need one more double crochet in the next stitch, not in the first one, we've got a chain in that one, here in the next one. So a double crochet there, and now we need a chain 1, and we're going to start a triad stitch over the next 3 stitches. Now if you've read your prelude and the stitch description, the triad stitch normally starts and finishes in the same stitch. But for the very first one, we're not going to do that. Just for the first one, we're going to start away from this last stitch. So here we go. Yarn over, go into the next stitch and pull up a loop and pull it up long. Pull it up to the height of your double crochet. Then yarn over and pull up a loop in the next stitch, not the same stitch, the next stitch. Pull up another loop to the height of your double crochet, and then yarn over and pull up a loop again from the third stitch, 1, 2, and 3. And so now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 loops on the hook. Now we yarn over and pull through 6 of them and leave the last one on, so that we've got 2 loops on the hook now. Yarn over and pull through both. And that's a completed triad stitch. Ta-da! Now we need to chain 1. Okay. Now we're just going to do that all the way down. We're going to start the repeat now. But as the prelude tells you, from now on the triad starts in here. It starts where you finish. So yarn over, pull up a loop where you finished. Pull it up nice and tall. Yarn over, pull up a loop in the next stitch, nice and tall, and I'll pull up a loop in the third stitch so that they're all the same height. Yarn over, pull through 6, yarn over, pull through 2, and chain 1. Don't forget these chain 1s, otherwise everything's going to pull. Now if you're worried about this little tilt here, don't, because once we catch into that later, it will straighten up. So don't worry about that. There's just nothing really here to support the chain. Okay, so don't worry. Alright, chain 1. So the repeat is yarn over, pull up a loop where you started for the triad, sorry, where you finished I should say. Pull up a loop from there, yarn over, pull up a loop from the second stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop in the third stitch, yarn over, pull through 6 of them, oops, trying not to snag anything, and yarn over, pull through 2. And chain 1. So that's it. Triad, chain 1 is your entire repeat. Let's just put this down and have a look. So you can see how the stitch started where the previous one finished. Alright. That's all you have to do. So work your way all the way down, and when you finish your last triad, it should finish here in this last stitch here, okay? And then we're going to put a double crochet, but you do need a chain one after the triad because that is part of the repeat, so don't forget your final chain one. But how about I meet you here somewhere and we'll finish up together. I've almost finished, so a few more in where I finished, oops, into the second, into the third, pull through 6, pull through 2 and chain 1. In where I finished, into the next, into the third, pull through 6, pull through 2 and chain 1. And that brings me exactly to my final stitch where you put just a double crochet, nothing else, like that. And at the end, we're just going to chain 1 and turn. So let's just take a look at it. Here we go. Isn't that pretty? So take a long look down the line and watch and make sure that every new stitch starts with the old stitch finish. So there has to be overlap here. If you see any gaps, you've missed a stitch, which means when you get down here, you're not going to have enough. You won't finish in the right spot. Okay, so just take your time doing it. It's very pretty, isn't it? All right, so when you're ready, finish up, double crochet in the very last stitch. There's no overlap at this end here, just like there was no overlap at the beginning. We had 2 double crochet, one of which is a chain 2, but our first triad started in the next stitch. There is no overlap at the beginning or at the end. Okay, chain 1 and turn, and I'll be back in a minute. Row 3 is all single crochet, but we just have to watch where we're putting them. So here's my turning chain 1. I need to put a single crochet still in that same stitch, the last stitch of the previous row. I need to put a single crochet. Then we're going to put a single crochet into the chain 1 space. Now you may not remember, but there is a chain 1 space between that double crochet and the first triad. So a single crochet just between those 2 stitches. Right, now we're just going to put a single crochet in the next stitch. That's this here, that's the triad right there, and a single crochet in the chain 1 space. So your whole repeat going down the line now will be a single. You see the top loops there of the triad, just under those, and that's the stitch. And then in between in the chain space, back into the triad, in between into the chain space. Very easy all the way down. Check your stitch count. You still have to have 216 stitches at the end. That's a nice little solid line on top of the triads. Don't miss the chain spaces, very important. When you get to the other end, you will put a single crochet into this last chain 1 space. There's a chain 1 space there in between the triad and the double crochet. So put a single crochet in there, and then you need a single crochet in your double crochet, that one there, and then you're going to need a single crochet in the top of your chain 2. Very important not to miss that one. All right, I'll get myself to here and I'll just make sure we do that together. Almost done. One more single crochet into the last triad, 1 single crochet into the last chain 1 space, then 1 single crochet into this double crochet here, and there's my chain 2, my turning chain, 1 single crochet into the second chain at the top, and that's it. Now if you're changing colour, you need to fasten off and you secure your ends. I'm not going to, I'm just going to chain 2 and turn, and we're ready for row 4. When you're finished, I'll meet you there. Row 4 is exactly the same as row 2. We have our chain 2 for our turn, which also is the equivalent of our first double crochet for that first space. Now we need another double crochet in the second stitch over here, and now we start making our triads, but first we need that chain 1. Must have that chain 1. Then we start, and reminder again, when we first start our triads, we do not go straight into the last stitch, not yet. The first one starts fresh in its own space. Pull up the loop, yarn over from the second stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over into the third stitch, pull up a loop, pull through all but one, and chain. Now I don't really have to describe all this because you've done it before, but just a reminder not to start where the double crochet is for the first stitch. After that, yes, we're starting where we finished and moving across. And always with a chain one in between, please. All the way down. And just like before, when you get to the other end, because these will just, sorry, moving around too much, but they're going to stack above each other. Okay, so they need to be stacked. All right, so just make sure that your triads are lining up. And when you get to the end, just like previously, you'll make your final triad above here. It will finish over here in this second last stitch. You'll make a final chain one and a double crochet in your last stitch, which is right here. That's the turning chain. There's the last stitch. Okay, so I'll leave you with that because we've already done it once, and then we'll chain one at the end if you're continuing your colour and turn, and I'll come back for row 5. So this is now row 5. I've made my chain one at the end after I made my last double crochet in that last stitch from the other side, and I made a chain before I made that last double crochet. So I've chained one and turned, and now we're going to put a single crochet back into that very first stitch where the chain one came from, and then a single crochet into the chain one space between the double crochet and the triad, and now we start putting single crochet into every triad and every chain space like this, which is exactly what we did in row 3. So that's exactly the same. All right, all the way down till you get to the other end as soon as I can get it in shot. And then you have one more stitch in the triad, single crochet into there, a single crochet into the chain space, don't forget that one, and then a single crochet into your double crochet. Over here are your loops, and a single crochet. Here's my chain 2 turning chain, 1, 2 chains, pop it into the top of the chain 2, 1 final single crochet, and then you need to chain 2 and turn. All right, or fasten off and secure your ends if you want to change colors again. So that's what all of this is going to look like. I'll just be back in a sec to talk you through the last 2 rows because I actually don't think I need to show you, but just let me finish. And look, the sun came out. I've got beautiful shadows, sunbeams, yay. I'm back. So here we are. I've finished row 5 now. Now we've got 2 rows left in this section, row 6 and row 7, but they are identical to these 2 rows. These 2 and these 2 sets, they're a set. You have the triads and the single crochet coming down in the other direction, and another set of triads and another set of single crochet. Okay, now we need you to do one more set of triads. So to do that though, after I finish this row, I have chained 2 on the end, and now I need to flip. If I can get everything in order, there we go, and make another set of triads down the line, and then turn and come back with the final set of single crochet. Now it's exactly identical to what you've just done, so I'm not going to redo it. You can always rewind if you need to, just remembering to turn. Okay, especially if you're changing colors, you still need to turn the work and not start in the wrong position for your next set. Okay, so get that third set done, and once you've done that, straight away put on your next section of ATM, and I will do the same. I might just pop in and show it to you finished as well, and then after that we'll get together for part 8. Well, there's part 7 all done. I've got 3 sets of these beautiful triad stitches. I don't know what the lighting is like, but the sun is streaming in through this window and it's making me a little bit snoozy. But there we go, part 7 completed, ATM on top. So now I'm ready for part 8, and I'll join you in that video whenever you're ready. Bye now.